every child has the potential to be a reader. Unfortunately, because of the demographics of the country, the majority of children don't have access to book, don't have caring adults who read. Most don't have caring adults, adults, period. But then even those who have caring adults, to look after them, it's not every adult who has the inclination towards reading, or if they do, the means to fulfill that. Reading continues to escape us, to put it in another way. The young people are not sufficiently exposed to reading. I stumbled into reading. It was an accident. I have an older brother. I'm the second born of 8 children. And he liked to read. Don't ask me how. He liked to read. That and, sibling rivalry, because he read. I wanted to read, of course. And he was encouraging. And then we had the great fortune of being neighbors to a mother, a neighbor, Mrs. Yawa. We called her Jola. Her clan name is Jola, so everybody called her Jola. Because if you call somebody by their clan name, you don't have to add anything in front. We called her Jola. She was Jola to, and she worked for a family I will never know, somewhere in Newlands. I just knew she worked in Newlands as a domestic worker, half days. She used to come, and they throw away so many good books and comics. I grew up reading all this. Her kids were younger, so she used to give us these books. I grew up reading books and the Beano, the Bingo, the Girls Crystal, the School Friend and things like that. And good books, Dickens and things like that. Granted, with limited understanding, but some understanding nonetheless. When I got to read those books now, say high school and for my degree, I was amazed at how much I had grasped. It was like meeting, old friends again. And so I grew up reading, not because my family bought books, no, they didn't, but I was exposed to books. I was very lucky. We had something called junior certificate. That would be the equivalent of 10th grade today. And black African teachers could teach with that. That was the highest. You could reach that as your highest academic qualification, and then do a 2-year teacher training course, which is what I did. I had to quickly transform myself in my family from being a liability to being an asset. You took the shortest possible, course, and that for me was quite sufficient. I remember somebody telling me, don't leave school after I qualified as a teacher. Go on and do matric. I thought they were crazy. I was already feeling so educated. Why would I go back to school? So I started teaching, and then within a year I fell pregnant. Then in 3 quick years I was expecting my 3rd child, and the husband decided to leave. I wasn't happy. We were no longer in love. Nothing takes away that aha feeling like being bankrupt and having, yelling kids who want food, and you buy a small tin of lactogen. It was 45 cents then. A week later, it's gone. You ask the husband, Mom, what did you do with it? Like, what could I have done with it? But when he left, I was quite angry because he made me a single parent, and that's something I had never envisaged. But now I look back and I say, thank God that guy left me, because I wouldn't be the woman I am today. And I looked at my sorry situation and I realized that I had to do something. I looked at my teaching qualification. I looked at the schools. There were about 15, 16 primary schools in the Lagunya area then, the 3 townships around Cape Town, Langa, Nyanga, and Guguletu. And in those 16 schools, only 2 teachers at matric. And I realized, I calculated that if I had matric, married or not married, I would get a teaching post. Guess what? I passed half matric. I had 4 subjects, and I got the principal of Fezeka Secondary School, it was still a secondary school, to come to my home to beg me to come and teach for him. And since then, I've never looked back. When I got a chance to go and do my master's at Columbia University, then of course I left. And from there, then I got a job at the United Nations. Then of course I stayed. And that's where I stayed the longest. I never stayed in any job for 20 years. I did.